Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to do that. Please, continue.
There's a lot of things about me you don't know anything about, Daddy. Things you wouldn't understand. Things you couldn't understand. You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Daddy. A rebel.
And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. The gift of faith came on me. He said, kick her in the face with your biker boot.
What you talking about,
You're a cheat and a swindler. That's what you are.
Now, let me talk to the young people here. You are prey, P-R-E-Y, for these churches. Brand new believers, pray for these churches. P-R-E-Y. It's sexy. It's cool. Calvinism, man. Because I got God in a box.
I call that bold talk for a one-eyed fat man.
The gospel's not something we live. It is an announcement of what God has done in Christ through the cross by grace to give eternal hope to those who have faith in Him.
Please, continue.
This is a Rebels Cause Radio with Jonathan Wedgeworth and your host, the tattooed freak of a man, Dan Fry.
That is right. I am that tattooed freak of the man. They call me Papa Tat on the chats, Father Tattoo from the pew, and of course, my given Christian, my government name, my birth name, Dan Fry. That's just that's all it is. Not quite as cool maybe as those other nicknames, or weird. It is what it is. I didn't pick them. So tonight I'm pretty excited, guys. We're doing another rapper, and I know a lot of our audience thinks I have this fixation on hip hop. Well, they're right.
You do.
Yeah, I do.
We all do.
Yeah, I mean, So they're kind of right in that aspect. But what I did a little different, because we have done a lot of rappers, and we've heard the stories, and most of them, quite frankly, are great. Timothy Brindle's was amazing. I mean, what a testimony. But we wanted to get into a little bit more than just the story. And so the first 45 minutes to an hour of tonight's show, we're going to dedicate to getting to know Zay. So we're having a guy named Zay the Blacksmith on. He is a part of the Collective album. He's one of the members on the Collective album.
With Timothy Brindle and Stephen Levi.
Yes, Timothy Brindle, Stephen Levi, and Zay the Blacksmith. That was to fund a missionary work that they did in Europe. We'll find out a little bit more about that. But I found out about him through Tim Brindle. He released on his Facebook one of their first videos, and off the top of my head, I can't remember. Me and Zay were just Zay and I, we're just talking about it earlier today when I called him to try to get to know him, so I knew how to formulate this conversation. But I'm pretty excited about him. He's not your normal rapper. We've done the white guy rapper. We've done the black guy rapper, and now we're doing the Hispanic guy rapper, which they're all singing about Christ, so it's kind of cool. They all fit together pretty well. Zay, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, brother.
And so, and I haven't offended you thus far, right? I'm trying to learn how to speak without offending people of different races and ethnicities.
It's a growth process.
Well, well, as white guys, it seems like we can almost never say anything right. So I think it's true. I think the way we say things often comes across as offensive, even if we're not necessarily meaning it to be. So I try to be kind of sensitive about that. I am married to a Puerto Rican gal, so I'm actually not as sensitive towards the Hispanic culture because I'm married to one. So I feel like that gives me a natural in. That's probably a sin problem, but.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, we'll get through it. So Zay, let's kind of introduce you to the audience. First of all, you're a recording artist with Lamp Mode, right? That's the record label you're currently under.
Actually, I'm with Christ-Centric Records.
Okay,
Christ-Centric. Yeah.
Okay, so you just did a partnering with Lamp Mode for a one kind of album thing.
Yeah. Those brothers are. I mean, they're my brothers in the Lord, and I'm pretty tight with a lot of those dudes, so it just kind of made sense for us to work together. So
okay, well, let's find out a little bit about you. Where were you born and where did you kind of grow up? Give us the background, the beginning, early years of Zay.
Yeah, I was born in El Salvador, and I grew up there up until about 1985, which was pretty much the middle of a civil war that was going on in El Salvador. My family and I, decided to move out of it. Well, they decided to move out of it. We came to Miami, Florida, the beautiful city of Miami, Florida, and I grew up there. I lived there all my life. I grew up. I was raised there up until about 2001. I spent some time in Maryland. Actually came to know the Lord in Maryland, and been living in Philadelphia for about. I think I've been here since about 2007 to 2008. So yeah, that's kind of the places I've lived. So
what brought you to Philly?
A church, actually, Epiphany Fellowship, the church that I'm currently with. I at the time I was looking for a church home, and I just ended up visiting Philly, intending to just come by, drive up 2 hours from Maryland and hang out with the saints in Philly and just kind of be there for that gathering and just check it out and go back and continue my search for a home church in Maryland. But I fell in love with it. It was just what the Lord knew that I needed at the time. It was like a perfect blend of context and truth for me. So I just really found it a home. So I loved it so much. I began praying. Well, I began coming out to Philly every Sunday for the Sunday gathering. Every other Wednesday they had a men's group. I would come out to that, and every first Friday of the month they had a ministry going on. So that's about 7 times out of the month, 7 days out of the month. I would drive up 2 hours to fellowship with the saints and get fed by the word. And so I began praying that the Lord would open up opportunity for me to move up, and He was faithful, and He did that, and I've been here ever since.
Awesome.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about religiously how you were brought up, though, because you weren't brought up Christian, or at least the kind of Christian you are now.
Yeah, no, not at all. For being El Salvadoran, the majority of the people, especially back then, it's a predominantly Catholic culture. So I grew up Catholic, of course, but I was always a curious child, especially anytime anybody had anything to say about God. My ears would perk and I was interested. And so I also have family members who have been Jehovah's Witnesses, and from about 8 years old, I was around them, and I would kind of study with them, and they would take me to the Kingdom Hall. And they would have assemblies. I would go to that. So I was Catholic. Mainly my grandmother. She was like the main influence, the main example in as far as faith that I had in Catholicism. As I said, I had these cousins, aunt, uncle, and cousins who were Jehovah's Witnesses. So I would kind of hang around them and I would read this little famous book they have is called My Bible Stories for Children. So I took that in. At about 14 years old, my sister married a Mormon, and I began studying with them, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I got baptized with them at about 14. I was about 14 years old. Got baptized with them. But I was kind of a troublemaker pretty much my whole life. So at around 18, I started experimenting with drugs. And after one of those experiments, I basically felt like I understood the entire universe, and I got it. I understood what it was all about, and I felt that I didn't need religion. I just kind of I can live based on these ideas that I was coming up with, which I started finding they were consistent with a lot of New Age stuff and even some Eastern philosophy stuff. So I started kind of exploring a lot after that. I left the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormons. I left that and was kind of a spiritual wander. At about that time, this is after 18, right? So because of hip hop and rhyming, I began hanging out with cats from the Nation of Islam. I hung out with some Rastas. Of course, back then I smoked weed, and so I had that in common with the Rastas, and just got a little bit of influence from them. Who rap music. If you're like in the inner city and you're involved with the rap scene, at some point you're gonna come across 5%ers, and that's just gonna
Well, and again, Forrest, now I had to have you explain this for me earlier today, and let's do it again. What's a 5%er?
A 5%er is basically a sect of Islam. Their foundation is from an Islamic perspective, but they really don't have a whole lot of doctrinal uniformity. So in some ways, at least those that I encountered and that I would be around, they were mostly, I guess this is like a crude description of it, but they were like rogue Muslims with their own twist on theology.
Okay. How long, well, let me back up here. You were exposed to Jehovah's Witnesses too, weren't you, at one point?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. From about 8 years old and on. I mean, I had my cousins, I had this family, they were always around me, and they would talk to me about it, give me Watchtowers and Awake, there's publications that the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society prints out. And so they would share that stuff with me, and yeah.
So would it be easier maybe to describe the religions you didn't dabble into? I'm just wondering here. You covered about, we've got Islam, Jehovah's Witness, Mormons, Catholicism.
I noticed
Buddhism.
Judaism and Hinduism were missing.
Yeah. Well, he said Eastern philosophy. I would have lumped Hinduism with that.
Okay, well I didn't hear Judaism.
Yeah. So the Jewish religion and Christianity is about all you left out, and that depends on whether you're talking about Catholicism being some form of Christianity or not.
Right.
Which brothers on both sides have differing arguments about that I don't care to engage tonight. So now you started dabbling in them. You had this experience. You started dabbling in this New Age stuff and hang out with the Islamic guys. I kind of want to start the positive side of your story after our first break, which is coming up in like 3 minutes. Because I think that requires a little bit more. Can you tell us how often, as a Mormon, you were going to the temple, and how active you were in these other religions?
Well, as a Catholic, I got to start there. That was my first the first religion that I was exposed to. For me, it was, I think when we lived in El Salvador, because of the culture, I felt more connection with Catholicism, because we would attend church more regularly. It was just part of the culture. I mean, it just felt like my family was more active. And I remember, I was a kid, so this is all what I'm getting is I'm just getting this stuff passively. It's whatever my parents are taking me to and all that. But once we came to the States, that kind of changed, just a lifestyle change. Your parents, they both got to work. So I just really wasn't really being trained, or even we wouldn't really go to church a whole lot. So it was more of a cultural thing. You just, my family were just Catholic because that's what we're supposed to say, because nobody had converted to another religion. But it wasn't a very active thing. Though I do got to say, my grandmother, she was the best picture of a faithful Christian that I had growing up. I hear a little.
Yeah, you're hearing the little noise. That's actually Cortland Urbano from Humble Beast. That's his a little bit of his beats from his album. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. Tonight we're talking with a guy who's jumped around between most religions. has a little bit of perspective on everything. When we come back from the break, we're going to kind of hear about how he came to salvation.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
I'm Michael Libby. I'm the host of Insight on Business, the News Hour. We're seen live at 8:45 each Monday morning at Webcast One Live or whenever you want on my blog or on the internet. So what qualifies me to talk about advertising, marketing, and consumer trends? Well, it's my business. Insight Advertising, Marketing, and Communications has helped dozens of companies, small, medium, and large, learn how to use advertising correctly. And we pass that information on to you each and every week.
Hi, I'm Doc. You listen to me every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Doc and Lefty radio podcast program, where we discuss all the relevant topics of the day, including state, local, and national politics. My partner in crime, Lefty, often likes to have a little bit of conservative justice served upon him, so please turn in for the fireworks every week from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays at webcastonelive.com. Thank you.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coach from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
When you find yourself in danger, when you're threatened by a stranger, when it looks like you will take a licking. Oh, the Super Chicken.
We know that there are a lot of great radio shows that you could be a fan of, but there is only one that's certified organic, free range, and cage free. Just like that hippie chicken you ate for dinner. This is a Rebels Cause Radio.
This is a Rebels Cause Radio, and if you don't understand what Chris is talking about with hippie chicken, my wife likes to buy this all-natural, non-processed, antibiotic, hormone-free, like $8 a pound chicken. Now, there's perfectly good $2.99 a pound chicken.
In fact, that's like 3 times as big. It just doesn't taste as good.
Yeah. Well, to me, I don't really notice the difference. I'm just going to be honest, but it makes my wife happy. And they're just things you do.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's right. You know, if she wants $8 chicken, I guess if that's the worst thing she wants, we're good, right?
Well, so how did this whole thing come out to be bumpers though? It was we were talking, and I said we need to keep the conversation organic.
Yeah.
And you said cage free and free range. Something like that.
It worked out because it's a play, it's a pun. Cage free, cage stage Calvinism. Everybody's heard of that. We've even had an episode on it. The organic conversation and whatnot. Now for a non-organic bit, I'm going to do a really quick segue right into where we left off with Zay the blacksmith. And we were talking with Zay about kind of how he had jumped around. I kind of interrupted him because the music started, and then I kind of had a really abrupt ending to that segment. Usually we do a big spiel. It didn't work out, that segment. I apologize. You guys are probably grateful. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. Joining me in studio today, we have John Wedgeworth. And then we have Kelly Lindberg. Kelly is a recent addition to the regulars here. We always like to have a guy that pushes us for answers and has questions. Kelly never runs out of questions.
I never run out of questions. And I never. This is the quietest I am is when I'm on this radio. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but, you know.
And John runs out of answers, but he doesn't run out of words.
No. John, just keep talking.
I'm going to come in next week. We're going to start playing Stump.
And I never run out of
John.
words to bumble and mumble and get all.
We had some friends that referred to me as John, short of breath, or long of wind and short of breath.
So anyway, we're going to get back to our story. So Zay was just kind of getting ready to tell us before the break how he came to salvation. Zay, why don't you just, whatever we're talking about, we're just going to move past it. Everybody's forgotten anyway. Right into how did you finally, after jumping all these different religions, become a Christian?
Yeah, well, basically, I ended up getting a ride from a friend of mine's mother. We had gotten stranded on the road. The only person that could come pick us up was my friend's mom. She was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'll take you where you know." We got two options. You can either come with me on this errand that I'm running, or I'll take you to this one place and then you got to find your way home there. So everybody was like, no, we'll just go with you. It turns out that the errand that she had to run was at a pastor's house, and she had set up a meeting between a friend of hers and this pastor, and they were just gonna talk. So we were in this room, and they just started talking, and so I'm sitting here, you know, this guy who, in my mind, I think I know everything about religion and spirituality, and these guys started talking, and they're talking about the Bible, but I was lost. I really didn't understand what was going on, and so after the whole thing, the pastor, you know, he walked up to me and he was like, "Man, you know, it was good to meet you, and you know, you seem kind of interested in the conversation." He's like, "Yeah, I was kind of lost. I thought, I've read the Bible before." I actually hadn't read the Bible. I had just read parts of Revelation from conspiracy theory books. And, I think I started reading Genesis and stopped somewhere before Exodus. And, so I really hadn't read the Bible, but I thought I did. So he was like, "Yeah." So I told him, "Yeah, I just didn't really understand what you guys were talking about. And I thought it was about the Bible, but I was just lost." He was like, "Yeah, well, we have Bible studies every Wednesday. You know, you should come by." So he invited me to these Bible studies every Wednesday, and it was great. It was a great time. It was in this traditionally, what you would call like a traditional black church in Baltimore. It was in a little home, in a little row house in the hood. It was full of just older people, and they were gracious, and I guess they were just excited that a young dude was there, and I had all these questions, and so their regular Bible studies ended up turning into, let's answer Jose's questions for about 2 hours time. So that went on for about 4 months, and this pastor he just faithfully broke down the scriptures to me and shared the gospel with me, and he just belabored with me, answering my questions. Sometimes it would be like the same questions over and over. He was just a patient, spirit-led dude who shared the gospel with me. He just broke it down in a way that I could understand it. But during that time, I was struggling with.
Why don't you text him on there too and let him know?
Yeah, I was struggling with. Just addictions and just being pretty lost, you know. And after about 4 months of going to these Bible studies and reading the Bible for myself and struggling with it, it was really conviction, just about just addictions and just living in a way that I knew God wasn't cool with. I ended up outside on my front porch, and my next door neighbor's wife came out. Her husband was a pastor. Just ended up, I was talking with her, and she was asking me questions and about, what I was going through, and I shared with her what I was studying at the Bible studies. And so she said to me, she was like, Jose, you seem to already know everything that I would want to share with you about Jesus. I think she said something like, but my question is, what are you going to do with him? What are you going to do about him? When she mentioned that, I think prior to that, the Lord had already been kind of tugging at my heart and my conscience. I just just hadn't given in. But when she asked me that, I had to respond to somebody, and I couldn't deny him. I felt like I couldn't say like, nah, I don't really want to get down with that. I couldn't do that, and so that evening I decided to accept the Lord. She prayed with me, and I prayed to receive Him as my Savior and to trust in Him, that He would save me, sanctify me, and be my Lord. So,
all right. Well, what you're listening to is a story about a guy that's kind of jumped all over the board. Now, Zay has played with Catholicism. He's played with some Eastern philosophy, some Jehovah's Witness, a little bit of Mormonism. I've just really been all over. And what's amazing to me about this story is after investigating all these things and being curious about him, having all these experiences, he comes back to kind of where he started. I mean, you start with the Bible, with Catholicism. Now, we can all argue as to how great of an experience that is or isn't, but you kind of come back to at least some kind of recognizable form of that. And it's amazing how God worked. He allowed him to kind of formulate all these things, all these other things didn't end up striking true for whatever reason or grabbing on. And here he is facing Christ and having and being called on the carpet by a person. And it's just kind of a neat thing. Zay, we're going to actually take a break here in just a second. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about what happened that night after the prayer and where things went from there. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We're that show that encourages people to read their Bibles, to go to church, a good Bible-believing church, one that's not afraid to teach the entire counsel of the Word of God. We want to encourage you to love Jesus. The whole Scripture is centered around Christ. Love that man. And of course, forsake the world. This is the Rebels Cause Radio.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Get away from my Sumito credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
All right, we're back. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We're trying to figure out some sound difficulties. It was a little hard to hear Zay, so we're catching him on the phone. We're still going to keep the video going. This this is kind of being transparent. We really were trying to avoid having to be transparent. It didn't work out for us this time. John and I and Kelly just kind of struggling to hear him. If we're struggling to hear him, that means that you probably are at home. And he's got such a great story. I really wanted it to be crisp and clean. And of course, we are going to get into kind of the theology side of the show. As we finish up his story, he had a couple issues that he wanted to talk about. One of them was the responsibility of men to be providers, and the hip hop culture and how that's changed. The other one we kind of came up together with, and that's the kind of, when is it okay to say, hey, I'm reformed, or lead with being reformed, and when's it better to, just, maybe not mention it. There's definitely times for both. We're coming back. Zay is
another reformed guy.
Oh, you didn't.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Kelly's the only guy not reformed on this show, and it's just because
they're running me down.
I think that we're going to get him real soon. I think we're going to get you real soon.
We're trying.
They're beating on me. Somebody help.
And then we'll get you out of Noah's Ark. And
you'll have a good yeah.
That was good.
Yeah,
out of Noah's Ark. All right.
Inside joke.
Yeah, but if I become reformed, then I won't be able to like anything, man. I'll just be grumpy all the time.
We'll get into all these things here in a minute. We're back to Zay. Zay is on the line now. Zay, I'm sorry about the confusion there. We were trying to fix our audio, and we just couldn't do it without switching to the telephone system. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great now.
Oh, you sound awesome.
All right, that's much better.
Yeah, it sounded like you had like a Starbucks cup over your mouth, and then we're talking into a laptop microphone, so it just wasn't working. Skype's kind of hit or miss with sound. So I think the story left off. Correct me if I'm wrong. You said a prayer. The God had been working in your heart. You said a prayer that with a lady, and take it from there.
Yeah. So at that point, all I knew that I was praying for was that from that moment on, I would trust. I would only deal with God the Father through His Son Jesus Christ. No more Allah, no more Buddha, no more the all or the force or the source or whatever else thing I called it.
You didn't tell us you were into the Church of Star Wars. They got a website for that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Sorry, I digress.
But yeah, so that I would be. All I knew is that I would that from that moment on, I would deal with God, the Creator, God the Father, through His Son Jesus Christ. That I would enter into a relationship with Him, that He would save me, so that when I died physically, I would live forever with Him in heaven. I knew that this was something that He did, that wasn't contingent upon my behavior or my performance. I knew that if I'm being saved, then someone else is doing the saving. I think I also understood that once this happened, once I entered this relationship with God, this would mean that the Holy Spirit would then come and live inside me, and He would change me, and that this work would continue for the rest of my life, and that I would be in His hands and I would be secure. So.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you were going to say something, Kelly.
No, I was not. Go ahead.
we have a politeness standoff going on here.
Oh, I mean, if you want me to talk, brother, it may not make any sense, but I got.
I'll do cleanup duty. Yeah, I'll do cleanup duty. You bet.
All right. So let's, if it's all right with you guys, I'm interested. You brought up earlier that you started in the Catholic Church and then you went on into other ventures. I also grew up in a Catholic church, so I'm kind of curious to see, what you saw, or I guess what you saw as the fundamental differences, and then as you came back around, how your faith walk now contrasts to what it was like when you were in Catholicism. And I want to make one thing very clear. I'm not looking to bash that in any way. I just know that for me, I didn't get the results out of it like I get now, but I don't have a bad word to say about it. The other Reform guys here might jump in and slam a little bit, but I don't know.
We've swam the Tiber. Well, we didn't come from Catholicism, so we didn't actually swim the Tiber. We just
trying to lighten the mood a little bit, boys.
Yeah, don't
I
do
was
that.
never Catholic.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to this conversation.
Yeah, but you comment on all kinds of stuff that you don't know.
I
figured it'd just jump right in.
I didn't swim the Tiber, but I did swim the cotton candy river of Maine on evangelicalism.
Okay.
Okay, so answer the question, Zay. Now that we've rambled.
Well, I can say this. I can say that in my experience, what I saw was, as a kid, I really struggled with just seeing conflicting messages. You know, my parents and all my family, you know, they profess Catholicism, and I would hear these messages about what's good and what's bad, and I found that to be inconsistent with what I saw in my life. You know, I just see my family doing things like, you know, cursing. I don't know, little stuff that kind of appeared petty in the culture. So I just really didn't see a whole lot. I didn't see consistency in people's lives with what was preached. I can say about the only person or about the person that I saw the most consistency with was my grandmother. She was a prayer warrior. She with all her might, she tried to honor the Lord. She loved him. You can just tell she had a genuine love for the Lord. So that was one of the main things that I saw. Just really inconsistency and really not so much of.
I definitely see where you're going with that, because I know when I was in Catholicism, when I was going to the Catholic Church, I kind of felt the same way. I kind of, you know, when you were telling your story about you sat down with a lady and she said, you know, it sounds like you know everything that you need to know. What are you going to do with it? And that, I'm sure, as we get deeper into it, will kind of lead to the transformational change that's taken place in your life. And I know that I can really relate to that, brother, because I know that when I just never felt like I was getting it when I was in the Catholic Church. And then when I kind of went into some different venues, that's when I think the message was a little different. I think the delivery was a little different. I felt like I was accepted. It wasn't I felt like it was, the only thing I can say is it was very transforming for me. And it sounds like it was kind of the same way for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said it. You said that you feel like you're accepted now, and I think that's huge. My experience as a Catholic was feeling like I wasn't yet accepted. Like I needed to be good enough. I needed to do these prayers, and I needed to do prayers or behave a certain way, and there was just this insecurity.
I need to say, I need to pray my rosary, and I need to say my Hail Marys and my Our Fathers, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and it was that wasn't. I felt like that wasn't working for me. For me, the message was always I always kind of got the God doesn't like that, and I think that's really what kind of drove me away.
Well, but I think the thing that would be more important is not to look at what our personal experiences were, but what the teachings are, and do they square with Scripture? You know, I came from a sloppy mainline evangelical background. Everyone's heard this a million times. I didn't have a particularly bad time there. You know, I didn't have a particularly bad experience. I just kept seeing these things that didn't jibe with Scripture. You know, and then when
like mime troops leading worship,
or praise team leader wanting to use Ezekiel 1:5 as the praise passage in the middle of the song, not realizing that was about the destruction of Jerusalem. I mean, you know, stuff like that, and it was the resistance. It was the resistance to Reformation, and it becoming clear. You know, we don't want you to go, but we want you to stop. And if you can't stop, then go. That finally drove me out of there, you know? So experiences are important, but, you know, in a tertiary or a quaternary sense, what's really most important is what does it jive with Scripture?
Tertiary or quaternary?
Quaternary.
And I just want to throw this out there again.
Third or fourth.
Okay. Oh, I figured that, but
then why did you ask?
Well, you're using big words on me, kid.
It's my natural language.
And I want to make one thing really, really clear, and then I'll be quiet so Dan can talk. But what I said, for anybody that's listening out there, that is not a knock on the Catholic Church. I know a lot of what I felt was based on my own busted up soul that I had, that I in the problems that I made for myself. Same way, my grandfather, grandmother, very, very devout Catholics. I can remember, you know, all the traditions in the house, and still just looking at my grandparents as probably some of the most faithful people I've ever seen. So I don't want to paint the picture that I'm knocking down the Catholic Church. There's enough people out there that do that. They don't need me to jump on that bandwagon. So,
well, yeah, we're not trying to do that. So Zay, tell us a little bit about where you're at now and the church and stuff that you're involved in now.
I'm at a church called Epiphany Fellowship in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm currently a deacon. I serve as a deacon there, and been there for about maybe 5 years now.
5 years, huh? And how long? How long you been a deacon there?
Well, we're a church plant, and so we didn't always have the office of deacon in place. But since we have the office, I've been a deacon since. And honestly, I don't remember. I think it's been a couple years.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
No,
You're
there's
kind of like the OD instead of OG, the original deacon instead of the original gangster, right? Talk about a corny joke.
That was a horrible.
That was awful.
Now, there's some other names that we would recognize that go to that church, aren't there?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, Stephen the Levite fellowships with us. Mac the Doulos, who is from a group called Everyday Process. Yeah.
All right, so you're serving in the church. How'd you get into rap? I mean, I guess this is kind of the story, the natural transition. So how long have you been doing rap? Were you a secular artist first? Did you break out as a Christian artist? Like how does rap intertwine with your story?
Yeah, I just grew up listening to rap music, and I started rapping about. I think I wrote my first rhyme at about 13 or 14 years old. Then after that, most of the rapping that I would do would just be just from hanging out, just from chilling, just chilling with friends. The stereotypical chilling on the corner, having a cypher deal. I experienced that. I had some great times engaging with the art in that way, and kind of got a chance to experience that, which I don't know that too many people nowadays get opportunity to do that. It seems like the culture. That's not as much part of the culture. But I just grew up, just rhyming. There wasn't anything I really took serious at first. It was just fun. It was just really fun. And and then after a while I started just getting attention from people, and just people wanted me to come along with them and record music. And so I started getting in the studio through just people bringing me along and wanting to open up doors and opportunities for me. All secular, of course. And so I kind of did that up until, like I said, from about 14 up until 23, which is when I heard the gospel. Actually, a little bit after that, I still was rhyming, and the content wasn't very Christian. The Lord was still doing a lot in shaping my thinking and just my perspectives. And but at about 2006, I got plugged into a good local church and just got around some older men that had been walking with Jesus for a while, and just took me under their wing and just kind of just nourished my love for the Lord. And as that happened, my affections for things of the world kind of started dying off, and rap music had a whole lot of that. So I went away from rap music completely for a while. I didn't even really know there was. I knew there was Christian rappers. I just really wasn't. I didn't like it. I just didn't like what they were doing. It just didn't appeal to me. It took a while actually for the Christian rappers to begin appealing to me. Frankly, I didn't find a lot of Christian rap that I thought was of the quality or the style or flavor that I liked. So after a while, I did end up. Really, it was through some of the Reach record guys and Lamp Mode dudes that I started hearing rap music, that Christian rap, that I was like, yo, I could dig this. This is banging. I can relate, and this is dope. This is good quality stuff. And so, but for a while, I saw rap as like it can't be compatible with Christianity. I mean, I didn't see the two going together until I started to see these Christian rappers do it in a way that felt genuine and that felt real and that felt like, hey, this is something that I might be able to do. But so I showed up to Epiphany Fellowship.
Oh, wait, hold on. That music you're hearing takes us out to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about how he got into rap and start getting into the theology kind of part of the show, or the more topical part of the show, where we'll talk about things like the role of the Christian man at the house and being a provider, and of course, when is it okay to tell people you're reformed? This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We'll be right back after this break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative manager.
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed rider, it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
Here I come to save the day. That means that Mighty Mouse is on the way.
Don't just sit there. Get involved. This is a Rebels Cause Radio.
This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We're back. This has been one of those shows where we've been cutting people. Poor Zay. Zay's got to think this is the most unprofessional radio interview ever.
Oh, totally.
And he's
That's
right.
why I love it.
Yeah, which is probably
if
true.
If it was professional, they wouldn't let me on it. Come on.
Well, you know, I mean, we would charge at least,
Yeah.
right? You know, that's what I should do is just charge people to come on and,
Exactly.
and ruin
Buy
my
a
radio
chair?
show. Yeah, buy a chair.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you know, that's cool. We
So
could-
many places I could go with that. but I'm gonna leave it alone.
But before speaking of charging people, we do have some people on the chat that were really excited that you were going to give them a shout out. I guess you have some children and they wanted you to say hi.
Yeah, I've got some kids running around out there that are listening. So my daughter Grace, I love you, sweetie, and my little boy Braden, who is 3, he should be just about ready to get on his knees and say his prayers before he goes to bed tonight. I'm trusting that his older brother and sister will make that happen, and my main man Connor is over there too, kind of keeping the party under control. So just want to say hey to those guys. And thanks for listening.
Well, and thank you for loaning us out, Kelly, for these evenings with Kelly. Before the break, I cut Zay off in mid-sentence. Zay, I apologize. You can continue now.
Oh, hold on. My other son just arrived at the party too, so Kane's there now too.
How many kids do you have?
Well, man, that's
Some
another
summer
sermon for
kids?
another. I'm irresistible, brother. What can I
guess.
say?
I guess. All right.
There's 2 that I haven't mentioned that aren't there.
Okay. All right. We're past that now. Everybody's got the shout outs. We're good.
I'm good.
All right, Zay, you can carry on.
Yeah, and by the way, don't feel bad, bro. Actually, I'm known to be long-winded, so I just looked at it like, hey, you're taking too long, bro. You're talking too much, so don't worry about it, man.
Well, no, we're counting on that. So that's why we have rappers on, because we know they like to talk, and if we slow them down, you give hours of content. So you were talking a little bit how you got into rap, and you're saying you had some studio time before hanging out doing non-secular stuff. Even after Christian, you were kind of doing secular stuff. What was the change that brought you into Christian rap, particularly the brand of rap you do?
Well, I don't really know. It kind of did happen organically. I don't know, man. I guess because of just the way that the Lord orchestrated things, I ended up in a part of the country where, in Philadelphia, and at a church where there was just a bunch of Christian rappers. It was just going on a lot, and some of my close friendships that I made. One of them was Stephen the Levite, who had been one of my favorite rappers before I even moved to Philly. So I'm around this guy a whole bunch, and then I end up living in a house where they're running a Christian record label out of, and it's just, I'm in this place, and I'm a dude who's been rapping for a long time, and now I'm a Christian. So it wasn't long before people started to realize that I rap, and it just made sense. I rap, and some of my close friends rap, and I guess we like each other's work, and so it just made sense for us to kind of work together. And so yeah, it was just something that just had, like, why not? Why not do this if it's something that the Lord can get glory in? So yeah.
So let's segue into some of our other discussions we're going to have tonight from that, because you kind of, first of all, we got to cover a little bit more of what you're doing. Now, you're part of the Collective. What's the Collective, or what was that? I guess it was you were part of it. Was probably a better way of saying that.
Well, I don't know. I think we can still say am. So the Collective is Timothy Brindle, Stephen the Levite, and myself. Basically, we formed a group initially for to make a project, basically, so that we can raise funds to be able to do foreign missions in Europe. And so so that was the purpose for the Collective album. The Lord was gracious, and He's a good provider, and He allowed for all that to happen. We did the missions trip, and so I guess now that we're done with what the initial reason why we got together, now that we're done with that, I guess things are kind of up in the air right now. I don't think we haven't yet sat together and kind of decide, okay, so what's up? Was that just a one-time deal, or are we going to do more, or what? We really haven't talked through that yet. I'd be excited to do some more stuff. I love those brothers. Those are, musically and two of my best friends. And so I would love to do more, but we'll see what the Lord wants to do,
That's excellent. I mean, the only Collective song I was able to hear was the one on Brindle's album, but I just thought that was fantastic. And I would love to see more from you three doing that kind of stuff again. And now you guys, musically, you guys deliberately kind of made that more old school, didn't you? Kind of more early mid-90s kind of sound?
Yeah, I mean, for that track, actually, it wasn't necessarily a deliberate thing. It was more so, I think, anyway. It was more so we just kind of went along with the beat, with what the music was calling for and what it brought out of each one of us artistically. And I think the music has some qualities that kind of remind you of older hip hop stuff. So I think it brought that out of us. So it kind of that's what made it sound like.
Okay. It kind of cut out towards the end. Why is the music cutting off the phone these days? That's weird. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We're finished with the first hour of the program. For those of you listening on KTIA, You can hear the next half hour where we're gonna talk to Zay about coming out of the closet as a reform guy, or maybe we'll talk a little bit about the Christian male's responsibility to be a provider in the family. You'll have to check out the web episode to find out. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, rebelscause.com, webcast1.com, iTunes. Yeah. Rebels Cause Radio. We encourage you to read your Bibles, go to church, love Jesus, and forsake the world. Till next week.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Yes, now your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows.
I'm Michael Libby. I'm the host of Insight on Business, the News Hour. We're seen live at 8:45 each Monday morning at Webcast One Live, or whenever you want on my blog or on the internet. So what qualifies me to talk about advertising, marketing, and consumer trends? Well, it's my business. Insight Advertising, Marketing, and Communications has helped dozens of companies, small, medium, and large, learn how to use advertising correctly, and we pass that information on to you each and every week.
Hi, I'm Doc. You listen to me every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on Doc and Lefty Radio podcast program, where we discuss all the relevant topics of the day, including state, local, and national politics. My partner in crime, Lefty, often likes to have a little bit of conservative justice served upon him, so please turn in for the fireworks every week from 6 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays at webcast1live.com. Thank you.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. You know, there's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Get away from my Sumito credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
Point our doozies right at all those non-tithing members because we want God to come to church. And at the count of 3 Jesuses, we shoot them all dead. Say what? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the world, dog. Say what again? Say what again?
I believe that Jesus is the way to the one God, but I believe there are many paths to Jesus.
That don't make no sense.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense, sir.
Evidently, Mr. Ringo's an educated man. How I really hate him.
You know what happens when you compromise and men finally get an opportunity to preach the gospel? Having compromised and sinned against God, you know what? If you preach the gospel, even if you compromise and get an opportunity to eventually preach the gospel, some are going to mock you, some will hear you further, and some will believe. You know what happens when you don't compromise and God opens an opportunity for you to preach the gospel? Some will mock you, some will listen to you further, and some will believe. So why bother compromising in the first place?
Welcome back to the second hour of A Rebel's Cause Radio with your host, that tattooed freak of a man, Dan Fry.
Well, Ryan's a liar because this is not a whole hour. So
he's not a liar. It's so much that we haven't changed the bumpers.
I like to think of him as a liar. Thank you.
So generous.
Thank you. I like my way better.
Okay.
This is a Rebels Cause Radio. I am your host, Dan Fry. This is the web-only portion. Of course, you know what? I forgot to do it the entire hour last hour.
What?
We're brought to you by Wrath and Grace Clothing.
We said it once. We probably should have said it more, but...
Did I say it once?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. By Wrath and Grace.
Yeah.
Because I was really bombing
well, you
that
called
earlier.
it Wrath and Race.
Yeah, I didn't even get it, man. I'm sitting here going, man, those are some sweet shirts. I need to get one of those. I was like, I need to get one of those Race and Grath shirts.
Race and Grath, and we'd like, that's not how you say it. And you say, wait a minute, Grath and Race?
Yeah. Too much coffee.
We were supposed to have a commercial done for those guys today. I'm just going to go ahead and cop to it. I was slacking. I rode RAGRAI yesterday. And today, I got an offer to buy my car. And so rather than do my work, I tried to make some money. I apologize to those guys. And we will have a new commercial for you, I believe, next week, featuring some of the artwork from the shirts they've got, a little bit of a photo shoot they put together, and maybe even if we get some time, a little bit of a tricky camera shots from Ryan and myself as we build the commercial. These guys, they sell T-shirts on their website. These T-shirts, personally, I have experienced conversations with people because of my T-shirts.
Yeah, they're sweet.
Not only they look cool, but they usually have something that grabs people's attention. One guy wanted me to tell him all about the gospel message. A lot of people have read, like the one I'm wearing tonight, "The truth is the truth, no matter if nobody believes it," have questioned what kind of T-shirt it is. And, you turn around in the back and it's got a Bible verse for them to kind of get some context on it. They are high quality shirts. They're soft. The screen printing is very nice. It's double. What do you call that? You do screen printing, Kelly. What?
I don't do screen printing. I do a little different. But yeah, they're high quality shirts.
Yeah,
they run it twice.
They're ran through twice. So it's double dipped color. I don't know. You squeegee it twice. Double pass.
Yeah, you can tell by looking at them that they're not. They're putting the good work into it, man. They're not cheaply made. They're high quality.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of ties in with the guys we're talking to tonight, because Timothy Brindle on a lot of the Collective album videos been wearing Wrath and Grace. So that happened. I'm getting asked, where was your Wrath and Grace shirt, Zay? You didn't have one?
I had one. I just didn't have any shots that appeared on the video with my Wrath and Grace shirt on.
Oh, what a bummer!
I had to answer for that as well.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. See, I feel bad. I was supposed to have this video done for him. I've been promising it for a couple weeks now. And
what about Zay? Zay got some shirts? I'll pick up a Zay shirt too.
Yeah, do you have your own shirts?
I do.
Where do you get those?
You can go to Christcentric.net is the record label's website. And you can pick them up from there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say, just real quick, man, I am not a big rap music guy. I mean, it's just not really my deal. But I was checking out a link that I saw with some of your stuff on it today, man, and I was digging it. I picked my kid up. He was working at the church, doing some service work out there, and I picked him up and I pulled up in my minivan, you know, with my bandana on, and I was bumping your stuff, and he was like, he got in, he looked at me like, dude, what is wrong with you? And then he was like, this is pretty cool, I dig it. So I'm trying to get cool with it, man. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress.
Well, you're an old guy.
I am not old. I am seasoned. There is a difference, my brother.
Give you a pass.
You're seasoned as in like spill the salt.
I got a little salt right
Seasoned
in here,
is in salt and pepper, still new school.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hey,
Picking on the new guy, man. You know
Zay,
I'm all about the love, but I might have to tone the love down and get a little angry Kelly on y'all up in here.
You know, Zay, I had a chance to hear the album too a few times, and I think it's fantastic. I think you do a great job. I think Average Joe does a great job. I think it's an absolute who's who of guest talent.
Well, and you're talking about the Mosaic mix.
The Mosaic
yeah,
mixtape.
because I've listened to both of them, and I got favorites on each side. You know,
My favorite from hearing the Mosaic is Restore My Soul. Man, that just hit me exactly where I needed to be hit. That's just so awesome. And I had a question for you about his Spanglish. I know enough, I can speak enough Spanish to have a very stilted conversation, but not enough. If it's like song lyrics or rap lyrics, I'm lost. Was that verbatim in English and then the same thing in Spanish, then the same thing in English and the same thing in Spanish? Was that what was going on?
Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to do. Okay. I think I would say the Spanish portion first, but I was basically translating. Whatever I'd say, whatever you hear in Spanish is the same thing you're hearing in English.
Well, you know, that's really cool from an artistic perspective too, because first of all, you had to get the same message into two different rhymes and make it rhyme. That's awesome. It takes a lot of work.
All right, so let's move on from the rap. Not that we could have gone a whole nother half an hour kind of getting into rap.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did want to get into, because we've kind of gotten some complaints that we get these rappers on and we get all googly eyed and starstruck and we don't ever talk about anything theology, particularly John. That's
I'll handle the complaint department.
Yeah,
John never wants to talk theology. No.
Yeah, no, never theology to John. But we were talking a little bit this morning, and actually, I guess it was early this afternoon, and we talked a little bit, just kind of skimmed the surface on what it means to be the provider. And you said it was kind of one of your things. In fact, the whole reason people have actually commented, at least Ryan has, that your background's kind of hilarious because it looks like you're in a paint shop, which, in fact, yeah, it's true. You're in a paint shop.
Yeah.
You have a day job, right?
Yeah, I have a day job. Shout out to all my peoples from Strawberries. I'm representing Strawberries right now, actually. Yeah. I got a day job. I paint helicopters.
How many helicopters need paint?
All of them.
Hopefully a lot. Keep the brother working.
Well, I'm just trying to think of all. I can count all the helicopters I think that are currently present in Des Moines on my fingers and toes.
Now, how many do you paint sky blue?
Well, I'm sorry. What was that?
It was a joke. I asked how many you painted sky blue.
Oh,
probably more than you think.
It'd be like cloaking device. I mean,
it'd be perfect.
Here we go.
Anyway,
so you got a job painting helicopter parts, and you also work on cars, painting cars too. So you're kind of a very busy guy. In fact, you're working tonight. You took this time off work to talk with us, correct?
Yep. And want to give a shout out to my dude James, who's back there, and he was gracious enough to let me do this interview, and he's picking up my slack over, at work. So
if anybody has a helicopter that needs painted out there in listener land, make sure you send it.
So behind you, I can't see the grill well enough. Is that a 69 Camaro or is that a Firebird?
No, that's
No, it's not. It's got to be one of those.
No, it's not.
It's a Chevelle.
It's a 64 Mustang.
Is it really?
Yeah, they're working on it. They're restoring it right now.
You can't see it well enough to make that out. I just see the tail end. It looks like a Firebird a little bit.
I wouldn't have guessed a Mustang either.
Huh. Well, I'm a car guy. I should have known that, but that's all right.
We keep taking this guy off.
I know. Well, he's fun to talk to. He makes it easy.
He's never going to come on with us again. He's
Probably not.
Like,
I love you guys, man. I'm having a great time, man.
That's
I love
good.
it.
All right, Zay. So tell me a little bit about what your perception is of the current generation and their views on working. I mean, you seem to be excited about your job.
Yeah, man. I think it's an honor and a blessing, and it's just one of the dope ways that the Lord allows us to image Him. But I think one of the things that I've seen, I think particularly in the inner city, and particularly in like the hip hop world. It just seems like, I think the media just hypes up this whole like being a star and being a rapper and this whole persona that I think a lot of times like the young dudes, they kind of get starstruck by that, and they're like, yeah, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to be. And you have less guys who are just willing to really work. I think in some ways it's been damaging to a culture and to young men who would forsake their God-given role to work and to be a provider of a home. In whatever way the Lord provides for you to do that, and kind of chases after dreams that might not be realistic. It might not be the most wisest thing to do. And it kind of just breeds just lazy men. So I do got to say, probably one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about that is because I've been one of those dudes. I know. I guess I know what that's like, and the Lord has given me grace to grow out of some of that, and so I guess I'm excited about that work that the Lord has done in my heart, and seeing me and having me value the things that He values in work, and so I guess I'm excited so that other dudes can partake and experience this dope stuff that I'm walking in with the Lord. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about work. I'm definitely excited about men stepping up to that call to work and provide.
That's awesome. I guess a question I would have is, if, let's say, just hypothetical, this guy is able to do with his hip hop music a full-time gig, or he's doing it full-time. He's able to provide for his family. He's able to tithe, that kind of stuff. Would you have an objection with that? Or is your objection just like the guys that put in maybe 10 hours a week and then call that their job?
Yeah, I mean, in the scenario that you explained, that dude is working. He's grinding. He's working, he's stepping up to the call. I mean, whatever work that the Lord provides for you, I mean, just because he's rapping is no less than than me working on cars or anybody else doing. So yeah, I think I think mostly what I'm the concern for me is I guess that's like selfish intentions, or just kind of, I guess, vanity, just being drawn to the hype, the limelight, and just that type of stuff that in rapping or anything else. So yeah.
And we deal with that. We deal with that here to a degree.
Yeah. Well,
you more than me, because you put in a lot more in this.
Yeah, I put up my life into the radio for over a year and a half, and just recently kind of pulled back away because it just wasn't going to pay out like we hoped. So I tried to grind it down, and that didn't work. And I don't know that I just said grind it down. That didn't work either. No. I'm too white. It doesn't matter how much ink I get. I can never escape my inner white boy. But I tried to kind of make it a job, and it didn't work. And so now I even have an interview, but as a radio personality, it's really easy to go, well, this is my work. Even though we're not making money, in fact, I'm spending it. It would be easy, I think, to kind of pretend as if this was doing something. But to be honest, this topic, I actually was kind of like, man, this is going to be super convicting for me, because it's something I look at a lot. But to be honest, man, me and my wife had a conversation last night about me wanting to be a provider. It's great that we own a salon. It's great that she's able to make a lot of money. I don't really want her to do that anymore. I would like to take more of it. And I realize the salon's a 2-person thing, and it's not like I don't have things to do or responsibilities or even seminary to work on, which eventually also will probably turn into something. But it's really it should eat at the heart of a Christian man to be a provider for his family if he has one. And if he doesn't have one, it should eat at his heart not to be a burden to others. And that includes doing your ministry. I mean, a lot of people don't get this, but your first ministry is your home. And if you miss that one, you have no business in any of the other ones. And part of that ministry is providing for them, not only spiritually, but physically. Would you agree with that, Zay?
Yeah, man, definitely, yo. I certainly, I think that's so dope. I think for a man, you're right. His first, beside your relationship with apart from your relationship with the Lord, the most important relationship that a man would have if he's married is his wife, and if he has children, is his family. And so definitely, man, I'm definitely with that. And providing for them is a major part to that. So yeah, definitely, bro. I'm glad that you said that, only because sometimes in ministry it gets rough. We have passion for ministry, and it's a good thing to want to love the Lord and honor Him and serve Him. But it can compete with other things that the Lord has called us to do, and I just think that's a wrestle, and I think it's good to talk about it.
Well, for me, Don and I had this conversation last night, which is kind of why I was like, whoa, he wants to talk about this. I'm down to talk about this. This would be good for me to kind of flesh this out. But we were talking about it, and Paul says it would be better not to marry. And I looked at my wife last night. I said, I love you. Don't take this the wrong way, but I get it. I could be involved in going to seminary. I would have all the time in the world. I wouldn't have to stop and get the kids halfway through the day. I wouldn't have to come home and spend time with you rather than, getting on and doing paperwork or whatever. I could do so much more with ministry if I wasn't married.
Look at Keith Darrell.
Yeah. Look at Keith Darrell. He's not married. He gets to do a lot of stuff. I'm limited. I'm limited in my time. I'm limited in my choices of seminary because I can't go to a full brick and mortar seminary and maintain the family that we have set up here, because we got roots and we're not blessed to be in Philly where you got like Westminster just hanging out. So it really was frustrating to us. It's a frustration to me, but on the same note, I also am very content where God's called me. And, that's part of that conversation is you can't just fixate on God wants me to work and it would just be best if I hadn't married. Well, the truth is I did marry. Dawn has been an integral part of my life for over a decade now. I could no more cut her out of my life than I could in my own.
Jody
and if you got a woman that's going to hold on to you for 10 years, you better keep a hold of her.
Yeah, Jody and I just celebrated our 14-year anniversary this week.
I saw that the other day. Congratulations.
Yeah, you always think that, well, if we hadn't gotten married, we'd have the more time to do this stuff. But, you can't go back. I mean, and
I don't want to.
I don't want to either. No.
My marriage is a blessing. My children are a blessing. We're expecting our third one here, and we're under 60 days, believe it or not.
Wow.
All right.
So we're expecting our first girl into the family.
That's Kelly.
Which I just messed up because I said first girl, I think, which implies there could possibly be a second. I just think
that's what you're,
so I just probably messed that up. But that's something, I mean, a lot of guys, it's easy. It's easy when you're doing ministry. It's easy when you're in the limelight. This isn't much of a limelight other than the room is
lime green.
It's lime green because it's all green screen.
Well, you and I had conversations about that too, about how it's easy when you're to get so involved with whatever ministry you're working in that your family suffers.
Well, and it's exciting. Jesus Christ is exciting. If it's not exciting in your life to serve God, you really need to evaluate where you're at and keep in prayer and in Scripture. But it's really easy.
I fought that battle.
So I mean, I really like that. I want to kind of fit this other one in. We got 13 minutes. So when's it okay as a public figure to be reformed is kind of the question. We've had other guys on here and they kind of, without saying any of their names or anything like that, and you can go back and watch the episodes. Maybe you can guess as to who I'm kind of referencing. And I want to be first and foremost very clear. I don't think they're doing anything wrong. But they raise an interesting point, and we wanted to kind of have it out. Some guys are kind of a little leery of being called Reformed, even though they go to Reformed churches. They ascribe to Reformed things like the Westminster Confessions, but they just kind of don't want to be in public. Zay, when somebody asks you about your Christianity, do you describe yourself as Reformed?
No, I don't describe myself as Reformed, typically.
Well, here's a question. How would you
describe who I'm talking with? Because if it's it depends who I'm talking with. If I'm speaking with somebody who I perceive is familiar with the language and with what that all means, and I think it's going to just help them to give them a better perspective of who I am and just to understand, get to know each other better. And it's just a shortcut that I can say, yeah, I'm Reformed, and boom, automatically he kind of understands what I believe, and then I'll say that. But But if I'm speaking to someone that I don't get the sense like, yeah, they're going to get it, they're going to understand, they're going to know, then I won't mention it. Now, if I'm ever asked, sure, I unashamedly say I'm Reformed, or even Calvinist. If they ask me, are you a Calvinist? I'll say yes.
And Luke pointed out, Luke is our resident blogger. If you guys have been following the blogs, he's been blogging about every week.
He's doing some good ones.
Yeah,
thanks, Luke.
You either love him or hate him, or maybe you are holding on.
You either love him or hate him or don't.
Yeah, or don't. Well,
you gotta run for office, man.
There's some people that are still kind of on the fence either way, but you can't. He's kind of one of those guys that you're like, wow, and he's a wordsmith of sorts, and they're fascinating reads, even if you don't necessarily ascribe to everything he says, although I've yet to really see or hear anything from him that I am not particularly fond of, I guess. I like it all so far. But Luke said it would probably be helpful in this discussion to define reformed. So when I say reformed to you, Zay, what do you think that means?
Yeah, normally when I hear Reformed, I take it in a general sense, unless I perceive that they're meaning something more specific. So generally, when I hear Reformed, I'm thinking what someone believes about salvation, and so it's in someone's soteriology. And so are you basically you believe in God's sovereignty and salvation, or do you believe that that it's not so monergistic?
Because I think a point could be made that when we're looking at the Protestant church, a lot of the people would think Reformed just means any church that is no longer Catholic.
Right.
But culturally, we've gone beyond that and segregated ourselves kind of further.
Right.
And so you got to kind of test somebody's understanding, which is maybe why it's not so helpful to lead with the, hi, I'm Dan Fry and I'm Reformed.
Yeah, I generally don't do that either. But the thing is we bring our Reformed theology into the conversation, even if we smuggle it in.
Mm-hmm.
Is it right to smuggle it in? I mean, I guess that would be the next question. If you're, that's kind of the thing I wrestle with is,
do we check our biblical theology at the door?
Well, no, but I mean, it's one of those things where if somebody's asking you about your Christianity and it would have been faster to say I'm Reformed, but it would have gotten you written off, is it okay to kind of dance around that to give them the theology?
I could be wrong here, but I could be totally wrong, but I doubt it. No, anyway, I could be wrong, but my knee-jerk reaction is to say, no, don't dance. I mean, don't waffle. Better to stick to your guns. But
what do you think, Zay?
Okay, what's your question again?
Okay, so let's say you're walking up to a guy, he's a hardcore Jacob Arminius loving guy. I mean, just
has a T-shirt of him.
Yeah, he's got the T-shirt on. Fan club started it.
He's listening to Free Will by Rush.
Yeah. Guy's hardcore. You know it coming into the conversation, and he says, "Oh, you go to you're a Christian? Yeah. Well, what kind of Christian are you? Is it okay to dance around that question, or and then kind of bring Reformed theology in, or is it better to answer the question?"
I guess in the scenario you just presented, which, by the way, I don't know if I've ever met a really excited Arminian. I know they're out there.
They send us video blogs.
Oh, okay. So you guys know plenty of them. I've met more of us who are like really Reformed. Really like excited Reformed dudes or Calvinist dudes. But I really haven't met too many Arminians. But in that case, if I'm thinking he wants to know am I Calvinist or Arminius, I would just let him know I'm a Calvinist and yeah, I mean. Yeah, I would just let him know I'm a Calvinist. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be so excited or looking for a debate about it, especially if he's already convinced. I'm thinking he might want that, and I'm just anticipating the troublesome interaction that's going to become. Apart from the benefit of it being a fun theological conversation, because for me it would be fun. I like theology. I love talking about it. And I think that would be, I think intellectually it would give me a little playground. I think it's dope in that sense. But relationally, it would be too many issues. And I think building in love with another Christian is so much more important than me having intellectual fun. And so in that case, I'd probably say Yeah, I'm a Calvinist, dude. Can we still hang out? Can we still love each other? You know what I mean? I'd probably try to figure it out if he's going to be cool with still, being my brother in Christ or something.
Well, let's
just say you freely choose him.
Yeah, let's take it up a notch, though. Okay, so the original kind of premise was, what about public figures, though?
Yeah.
Because we kind of have people listen to us, whether they listen to us and respect us or listen to us to hear us do things wrong, or, I mean, they're listening. What's best for us, though? I mean, because it's hard for us. John and I, when we started this show, we wanted to kind of not go off into being reformed. And I think it was episode maybe 2 that I came up with that I'm reluctant.
Reluctantly reformed is what you said, but then I quickly pointed out that I'm not reluctantly reformed. I'm a passionate Calvinist, and I throw out the term Calvinist less often than you do.
I think I said reluctantly Calvinistic, solidly reformed, reluctantly Calvinistic. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, right off the bat, and really my reluctance is only in announcing it to the world. It's not in my belief system. I'm very adamant about my Reformed theology, but as a public figure, I mean, we wrestled that from the beginning of the show. Now, we went the opposite direction, right or wrong or indifferent. We went right away with, we're just going to tell people we're Reformed. That's where we're coming from. And that's worked out. It has pigeonholed us into a couple different categories that, if we wanted to do less theologically challenged shows, we get guys that don't even want to listen to those.
It might pigeonhole us and narrow the audience, but it galvanizes the audience. It'll make people more passionate if you just come right out and say it, if you don't waffle.
What do you think about the public figure? Should the public figure be pretty open with his theology, or should he or she kind of guard that a little closer, or are there benefits to both?
Yeah, I think there's benefits to both. I think it all depends on what you perceive as your mission, and what you perceive as your ministry philosophy and your most effective way to minister. And so, and by saying that, I mean this: if you're, it's also the setting, the context that you're in. I mean, if you're going to be talking to Christians, to other Christians, and they're already believers, and you're more so looking for edification and going in depth, talk theology. Reformed, Calvinist, Arminius. These are theological terminologies. I mean, and use it. There's shortcuts. I mean, it's cool. Go for it. But if you're, like by God's grace, we had a chance to do tons of evangelism in France. When I was out there in France, I never mentioned a word. I never mentioned any theological term, because those people are extremely unchurched, and they would. If I tell somebody that I would, to accept Jesus and be covered by the blood, they look at me like, be covered by the blood of Jesus. They look at me like I'm crazy, because they don't see me covered in blood, and they're like, well, this kind of gross. So I just think being sensitive to what your mission is what it's all about. And so in that setting, I never mentioned it. I saw no need for it. I saw no benefit to it. I don't think there would have been any. I had any conversations out there in an evangelistic setting where mentioning that I was Reformed or Calvinist or any of that would have been beneficial at all. Not at that point. I could be wrong. There could be some benefit in you saying and somebody being like, what? And then you explaining it. That could be cool. But I don't think that was, given the nature of the interactions, you got to talk to people quick, you got to relate. You don't even know them. You're just trying to, just speak to them at their level. So I kind of think it all depends on the setting. It all depends on who you're trying to reach. If you're a public figure, how you want to be, whether you're concerned about being categorized a certain way or not, I kind of just let those things play out. I mean, I am who I am. I don't hide from the title. I don't duck it. I don't don't call me that. I don't come out off the belly. I'm Xavier Blacksmith, the Reform rapper. I don't do that. But yeah, if you ask me if I'm Reformed, yep. Am I a Calvinist? I happen to be. I happen to believe in the 5 points of Calvinism. So I'm a 5-pointer. Whatever. I just normally don't interact in circles a whole lot where too much of that. Where it's appropriate to throw out a whole lot of these terms. I actually would love to. I'm a theology dude. I love it. I just that's just kind of the circles that I run in. But so I kind of think it varies depending on your setting and what you're trying to accomplish and what's the best approach. for what you're trying to accomplish.
Let me throw out a 10-second question here. Let's say you don't have you can't really read the situation very well. Which way do you err? If you're going to get it wrong, which way do you suggest we get it wrong?
I think you just follow your convictions. You just follow. I mean, I guess so. And what I mean by that is if you feel that mentioning that you're Calvinist or Reformed is, you have a clear conscience that is the most beneficial thing that you can proceed to do for the sake of the gospel of the Lord, then you do that.
All right. Well, that's the show. That was the final question. You got the final word in, John.
Awesome.
Zay, thank you so much for coming on. We had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys, man. Love you too.
We'll have you on again.
Yeah,
Zay.
come back on again.
All right. This is love you too, brother. This is a Rebels Cause Radio. We're that show that encourages you to read your Bibles, to read commentaries about them, to have meetings where you talk about them and flesh it out with other guys that also are reading them. Really learn that thing. Maybe memorize it. Hey, that's crazy. Go to a good church, a Bible-believing church, one that teaches the entire counsel of the Word of God, maybe in an expository fashion. Love Jesus. Man, can't say enough about that. And forsake the world. This is a Rebels Cause Radio.
Preacher man, hey, preacher, help me understand. Help me. Where will I stand in light of this judgment? I heard this work was sin from this Christian who mentioned I needed to be born again and forgiven. I tell him no, sir. I'm still seeking. Plus, anyway, I think I heard the same stuff from a Muslim that if I pray 5 times, I could get to him and just do many works like a good Mormon. So please stop preaching. You're getting real annoying. Plus you keep judging. That's only God's judgment. Plus I do a lot of good, so I'm a good person. Yes, I am. I give to many churches. I never hurt no person. I never robbed no person. Stop finger pointing. We all messed up. Ain't nobody perfect, so stop judging and tell me how you think you're any different. I'm not judging. I'm just showing you need atonement, and that's a payment for your law breaking and your wrathful hatred towards the loving neighbor, but most of all our rebellion towards the Holy Savior. Jesus. But in His rich and mercy, He kept the Lord to save us from our flesh behavior. You need to fix it.